A lot of people avoid market research because they think you need to know advanced statistics or run formulas all day, or know how to research like a professional every day. The truth? You don't need a PhD to get useful insights. I'm Justin from Wall Strategy, and I help businesses turn research into strategy that drives growth. Let's talk about what level of statistics you really need and how you can still do research without being a math or research wizard. The main misconception is that people assume research is really deep statistical insights, such as regression equations, Bayesian models, or even complicated math where you got to understand each term and understand what the numbers mean. But the truth is, it can be a lot more simpler, and you can still find key insights even from basic stats, from percentages, averages, medians, comparisons. Additionally, I'm not too sure when this video is released yet, but I go into diving a bit into a simple OLS regression with Excel that I had ChatGPT come up with the data. And it's really easy to do something like that for a business and understand what your key drivers are and help you move in the right direction. Now, generally, the thing that I would consider required for understanding statistics or even research is to understand the basics such as averages, medians, knowing how to calculate percentages and the differences, or sometimes the delta of things, if you want to give it a term. Another thing that's really helpful in understanding is margins of error and sample size basics. If you're able to understand that there's a big enough sample to represent the population, that it was done correctly, and there's also, of course, always a small margin of error, then you could relatively trust your research and understand that it does have key insights and you can trust it. And that really helps you understand the statistics of things when you have a data scientist help you with it or you're performing it yourself. Another key thing is the ability to interpret charts and connect them back to business equations. And simply understanding that can also help you make much more clear decisions. But being able to interpret charts from looking at trends, the error margins, or even a little bit of forecasting knowledge, you can tie it back to business solutions. Additionally, if you know which method to choose from quantitative to qualitative, or even sometimes doing both but on a smaller scale, that's often more important than being able to run a giant market research project on your own. You typically don't need complex models, and generally, things like Excel or even Google Forms or Microsoft Forms can be sufficient enough to run research. Of course, there's helpful things like Qualtrics or SurveyMonkey that can help you with much more advanced research, but typically that's not needed. If you're trying to go into deeper methods or answer a very specific business solution, like what you might want to price your product at, then there's going to be software that helps with a conjoint analysis or even a Bayesian modeling that does it all for you in the first place, that doesn't require math. But of course, at the cost of that is always money, so take that into context. Also, understand that stats gives you the number, but strategy from those numbers is the true meaning, which is why some people hire consultants as well. For example, if 65% of your customers prefer product A, you don't need deep math to know that product A is your better bet. But however, with the rest of the 35%, that might be a must-have market that you might want to enter as well, and statistics can help you answer how much you should invest into that. The biggest gap in research isn't missing statistics, it's actually missing strategy and interpretation of that data. Now you know the basics of what you do need to know and what you don't need to know, but let's get more into when deep statistics do matter. For example, when there's high-stake decisions with millions on the line, such as a new product coming out in a market that's relatively saturated, you might want to do something that's really concrete. Additionally, if you're trying to do predictive modeling or advanced segmentation and really try to understand your customer and predict what they might do or say or even think and feel, then you might want some deep statistics. And even then, you don't need to run it, you just need to know how to interpret it and apply it. So no, you don't need to know deep statistics to do market research. If you just start with the basics, use tools, and focus on turning data into decisions with something as simple as Excel and Google Forms, that's where the real value is. If you want more practical market research tips that cut through the jargon, hit subscribe for future videos. If you're interested in not even learning anything at all and just having someone do it for you, that's where Wall Strategy comes in.